Hey everyone, my name is Mike Vaughn. I'm writer for Geek Vibes Nation. I'm also the author of The Ultimate Guide to Strange Cinema.
And I'm a movie critic extraordinaire, Dom Fisher. Uh, what's popping, everybody?
Hey, yeah, I'm excited. Well, I don't know if excited is the right word, but we're gonna unpack some stuff here. I mean, it's not exciting news, but it is some crazy stuff going on. That being the word, I guess, is official as of yesterday. Um, Maybe not yesterday when this is posted, but earlier this week, Jonathan Majors has been fired from Marvel, and I believe his agency has also dropped him.
I believe so.
Um, yeah, with being convicted. Let me look at my notes. Um, Guilty of was it? It was assault in the third
It was,
degree.
yeah, like a third degree assault, which is like a misdemeanor, and then some kind of harassment charge. I think there was originally 4 or 5 charges, and he was found guilty of the lowest two, I believe.
Yeah, it was aggravated harassment in the second degree.
That's right.
Um, so this really kind of shakes things up at Marvel. I think that I can't imagine they didn't have some kind of contingency plan.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I don't know. What's some of your first impressions on this when you heard about this?
So I can't lie. Like a lot of people probably will. I was rooting for Jonathan Majors, and not rooting like, I hope he beats it, but I was hoping that he didn't do anything wrong.
Hmm.
Now, from what I understand, what he got charged with was the video that we've all seen recently where he picks her up, puts her back into the vehicle, and then takes off running. So it's like a simple assault with that was him picking her up.
Mhm.
So the stuff that happened in the car that no one can prove, that stuff kind of got thrown out the window because it became a criminal case instead of a civil case. And they had the jury had to prove without a shadow of a doubt what they found him guilty of, and you can see him which is considered assault, him picking her up, putting her in the vehicle. Um, so yeah, I mean, the whole time I mean, I like Jonathan Majors. He was slowly becoming one of my favorites to see. Um, and I'm not a person that is so into a person that I don't want them held accountable. So like, yeah, for sure. If he got to serve a year in jail, serve your time. But I am under the um in the camp of, depending on what the crime is, if a person serves their time, I do think that they deserve a second chance. It doesn't happen in our society, but if I slap somebody and I go to jail for it, I shouldn't be deemed the slapper when I come out of jail again. I should be able to, if I've proven myself with my actions and whatnot, I should be able to get a second chance. We've seen plenty of actors and actresses do crazy things, whether it be convicted of drugs or things of that sort, bounce back. It may take a while, but I do think he will have a career later on. But no, it's crazy. It's huge news. He was gonna be the it guy. He was about to be the
Yeah.
next movie star. And I even put in my review for, I want to say, Creed 3, that Jonathan Majors can do no wrong. And then boom, the next month. Well,
Yeah.
never mind. I should have put that in my title. It did not age well. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. And the conversations, I think, around it are the most unfortunate, because within the Black community, there's a lot of, that's what you get for dating a white woman, or you shouldn't have dated a white woman. And my wife is white, so I'm like, no, it's an individual. It's on a case to case basis. Who you decide that you're going to be with, whatever they do, that's on them. It doesn't represent the culture or the race or whatever. But I mean, it seems like he knows he did some wrong. We saw the text messages and the heard the voice recordings from previous incidents, and he's a guy who maybe has some demons. He has some things he has to take mental inventory of and fix those things, and maybe this is a wake up call. And sometimes that's what people need. You start to go down this path and you're able to skate by, and you get caught, and now you have to take accountability. Hopefully he does that. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens going forward, because there's a lot of there was a lot of things in the works, from
Mhm.
the Kang to leading to possibly a Galactus, and now we're hearing talks of Doctor Doom, maybe the new bad, or do you recast Kang? Because that storyline I thought was interesting, and since he is a variant, essentially, I think you can recast with someone like a John Boyega. I think would be really good.
Mm. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely echo what you say about it's just a tragedy all around, first and foremost for the victim. Obviously, that's like the major thing. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm like you. I'm rooting for this guy to, get better. Hopefully, maybe this is like, they talk about rock bottom and things being your rock bottom. Like, it's like you said, maybe this is hopefully will be a wake up call to yeah, to better things. But yeah, as far as like what I don't really think they're gonna completely get rid of Kang. I think they're gonna recast. Um, but I don't know. Part of me also thinks they might really want to just distance themselves from this character, at least for now. And my I was gonna say, I feel like the smart money is on a new like central villain, and like I don't know, I maybe this is just my personal bias, but god damn it, I want a good Doctor Doom.
yeah, yeah. I do too. I mean, that's Doctor Doom is one of the villains I've been waiting for. I know we got him previously, but those Fantastic Four movies, the first two, were a little campy, so you didn't really get the Doom that you wanted. And then, the Sony one, that was not great. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think across the board, whether you're a Marvel fan or a DC fan, it seems like everybody wants to see Doom. I mean, he's someone who it's that villain that you like, man, for one, he looks cool. And as much as he's a villain, you like, I kinda like this guy. I want to see what he's gonna do. And he's able to like galvanize the people that he's in front of and take control, and somehow, reach the heights of being like a god in the universe. And so there's a lot they can do, and it'd be really interesting to see someone like a villain that doesn't die in a movie. I know we got Thanos like in battle. We got him for like two essentially. But it'd be curious to see if you have a villain who is in a bunch of different movies, fighting, disappearing, going to do whatever over here, has a fight, gets away again, and just kind of is a reoccurring thing, because they don't just disappear in the comics. They're around for a very long time. And I think he's the perfect one to try to do that with.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I don't think like Kang's gone forever. I think they might want to just press pause on that a little bit.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that would be, I don't know, that would be the smart play in my opinion. So
And it's perfect
whether
timing, right?
yeah,
With the way that Loki ended, you
yeah,
know, it does kind of set it up for a pause anyway with Kang, because how the wheels weren't completely in motion, with them not dropping the book off to little Kang, and he doesn't get to create the TVA the way that it was set up. So it does set it up weirdly for a pause, and it almost to the point where it almost seems like, oh, we need to redo this last episode. I mean, I know they didn't, but it kind of feels that way. Um, And my thing is, like you said, if you pause Kang, I think you could possibly pause him long enough to bring Jonathan Majors back if you want to 2-3 years down the road. I mean, because we all know Robert Downey Jr. had his problems in his younger acting career, and then it got reinvigorated with Iron Man. So just because you have some kind of issue, just like everyday life, in it, regular jobs, you can mess up, possibly have, jail time or a felony or things on your record and still be able to get a newer job or the same job. So there's a possibility that can happen. I kind of doubt it, but the way that we move on to things so quickly and forget about things because everything is so 24/7, I think you can pause it for like 3-4 years. You can mention Kang, oh, Kang was just here, and things of that sort. You can even have a like a body double where you see like Kang's the back of him walking through a portal. You don't see him for a while, and then you bring him back, when we do Blade in 2025 or something, or I don't even know the years anymore because they all got delayed. But I think it's a possibility, but it's highly unlikely. I think.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I definitely think that I don't think this is the end of his career. I think
No.
it's gonna take a while to sort of rebuild. Um, but yeah, the articles I was reading, it was just this like almost unheard of sort of rise to, fame, like um how, he was crushing with Marvel, he was crushing it with the Creed well, he was only in the one Creed, right? He was just in part
Yeah.
three. But
Yeah.
still, I mean, part of like big tentpole films. I mean, Lovecraft Country was awesome.
The Five Bloods is good.
I haven't seen that one, but yeah, like just amazing stuff. And yeah, again, this is such tricky stuff to talk about because I don't want to dismiss or diminish what he was found guilty of, but I agree with you where I feel like there are second chances. I feel
Yeah.
like, again, hopefully this is a wake up call, but I don't know. Like, how about this? Ideally, what would you want to see happen with the series?
Um. So I do think, if because I do think bringing him back later on is highly unlikely because it is ultimately it's still Disney. So I think if you have a big enough blemish, and I think and which is weird because this is an action franchise, and to have someone who made a mistake clearly and not bring them back to an action franchise sounds kind of weird when you say it out loud, but I do think they should recast. I do think I know I keep seeing people wanting is it Damson Idris from Snowfall. I've
Mm,
seen John
mhm.
Boyega, but I also seen Idris for um T'Challa as well. So, I think John Boyega does kind of fit. He has the same kind of stature. I do think that he has the same, not I don't want to say the same, but I will say he does have a high caliber skill of acting. So I think that he could fill those shoes. Um and because I do want to see this King thing. I've been waiting on it. I don't think it should be scrapped. And because he is such a big character, I think him, Doom, Galactus, and whatever comes with the X-Men, they can all live at the same time. Because they do in the comics. It'll just be, we'll see the things that we see when we see them, and then we know that the other characters are doing something else in the background.
Yeah. Now, would it be kind of funny if like either Terrence Howard or Don Cheadle ended up replacing Kang? Like,
You see Terrence Howard come back and like, hey man, you look familiar. Like, do I? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man, you look familiar.
Yeah, I would love that. I don't know. I think like I don't know. I'm torn because I think their version of Kang is really interesting.
Yeah.
And I hate to see that potential just go away. But if I don't know, ideally for me, like take a beat, do Doctor Doom when everybody's kind of ready for Kang again. I feel like then they can kind of, you know, um, see if they want to recast, see if they, want to go back with Majors. Like, I think, I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's,
mean, I think you can. I mean, honestly, if they did wait, let's say they wait 3 years and they bring them back. This is the perfect time to set up in society redemption arcs in real life because people do deserve them. Like say, let's like take Will Smith for instance. The whole slap thing was crazy, and it didn't go the same route because Chris Rock didn't press charges because they have a history with each other. And Will Smith is, he did his apology tour, whether people liked it or not, and then eventually he's slowly making his way back into the industry because we have to get out of this. People have to live a perfect life to get nice things because that's just not reality. There's everybody has some kind of thing, whether they got caught or not, that they regret, and they're like, "Man, that could have gone really bad if somebody saw me, or it could have been really bad if this person told, or whatever the case may be." So I think that that can set up a perfect opportunity to go, "Hey, in society, people make mistakes, and they've made amends. They've served the time if they had to. They've done the community service that." They can work their way back in on a shorter leash and then see a person in real time become a better person. And I mean, that's what Disney's about. It's about magic, right? And the magic of bringing somebody's career back would be a perfect thing for them to do because Mel Gibson, Liam Neeson, all these other guys who have said crazy things. They're caught on video saying things. They've made their comebacks, and some of them apologized, some of them didn't. So I think if Majors does the work, I do think that you give him another shot.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, my smart money would just be on like either recast or just take. I mean, again, ideally, I feel like we just take a break from that
Yeah,
character. And again, I don't want to see that character like gone because what they were ramping up for seemed really interesting.
yeah.
Especially with Kang Dynasty, which was, I guess, supposed to be one of the next major projects. But here's the thing. I know we talked a little bit about this, like T and I with Loki, but um, do you feel like they scrambled to sort of change that ending a little bit to have it sort of be, you know, a little bit more up in the air so they could kind of decide what was happening?
Yeah, I mean that's what it feels like, right? Like that's exactly what I was thinking because it almost like left it open to where we thought we were gonna get a Loki season 3, but it wasn't supposed to be. This was supposed to be the last one. So I mean, they had to have. They like it only makes sense that they go, okay, we can go back and change this last part and um we'll wait and see what happens. And like you said, they had to have some kind of contingency plan in place, but I'm sure they heard the same things I was hearing. I followed a couple of lawyers and they were talking about it looked good for majors and blah, 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 blah. And so I think a lot of people thought that the outcome was going to be a lot different. Um, but, I did see another lawyer recently say, um, the reason why I probably went this way, for one, hearing that recording where he kind of seems like he has this god complex. For one, that doesn't bode well for a jury because you sound like an
Yeah.
unlikable person. And then also, that they tried to play the race card, the defense play the race card instead of facts. And apparently there's like a thing they could have done with like property, her trying to grab his property. He has a right to defend himself and his property, and they didn't do that either. They decided to go, you're trying to ruin this black man's career. And a lot of people don't want to hear that anymore. They don't want to hear the race talk, whether it may be true or not. They don't want to hear that, and it's going to turn some people off, especially when a lot of jurors, when you see a jury selection, it's usually more white than it is black. So it's not going to bode well for you if you're hoping to play a race card that and hoping that you're going to have these certain jurors lean your way. And it was a 4-hour deliberation, so they really were struggling, like going back and forth. But ultimately, he was his own worst enemy by saying some crazy things. And also, I mean, I don't even know. Did he know he was being recorded? They didn't talk about was he being illegally recorded. So there's a lot of things that it seemed like this whole thing was a mess. It probably could have been settled outside of court,
Yeah.
and him still suffer some kind of consequences because you can't put your hands on people. Um, but yeah, it's a whole mess. But it does seem like Loki, the finale was like,
A little.
let's make it really ambiguous so they don't really know, and we can do whatever we can do something different afterwards just in case.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, I would kind of love to be a fly on the wall right now of like these, there's these like all hands on deck, putting out fire meetings going on. Like, all right, holy shit, we have to completely pivot. Like, what are we gonna do? And yeah, I mean, like we talked about in, when we talked about just the state of comic book movies with Yumi and Tia, like I was like, I feel like it's such a dumpster fire that
Yeah.
like I don't really think anybody really knows what they're doing. I think it's the illusion of like they know what they're doing, but I think everybody's just kind of flying by the seat of the pants. And I haven't really seen anything to kind of give me confidence that like either DC or Marvel really is like gonna right this ship. Like, I mean, I think like with the yeah, like with DC, I'm like, okay, James Gunn, I feel fairly confident with. Like, I feel like the Superman movie is gonna be awesome. I hope. I really, really hope. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, but just bringing back to Kang, like it's it did kind of feel like they were finally sort of building up to some like, I mean, almost like Thanos level
Yeah.
like baddie, and like holy shit, like this just sort of toppled everything, like all of their plans. So again, I want to believe that they have a really good plan, but like I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be. I think this is where I honestly feel like this is where they're gonna lean heavy on the Deadpool movie and the introduction of like the X-Men, because with the way the Marvels ended their post credit scene and the way that we're seeing kind of that the universe is opening up in Deadpool, this is how you kind of, I think, can right the ship. You can undo some things, you can retcon some things, because with all this timey-wimey
Yeah.
stuff,
Uh-huh.
you can restart some things, and you can, oh, we were in Earth 616, now we're in Earth whatever, and kind of do things a little differently. And then in the regular universe, you focus on Young Avengers and things of that sort. And then you have Doom, possibly Kang, Galactus. They can kind of go wherever they want to, and that kind of lets you play with both worlds. While they can interact sometimes, not all the times, and you can kind of fix continuity on both levels, and then eventually pick one to merge and kind of go that route.
Yeah. And I know this isn't a Deadpool episode, but I just want to throw this out there. since you mentioned it, I want to see Deadpool absolutely fucking destroy the multiverse. Like
Yeah.
I, because I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of tired of multiverse stuff. How
Me
do you
too.
feel about that?
Dude, I'm so because everybody's doing it. Everybody, even if outside of comic book movies, regular movies are doing it, and it's like, okay, I get it's interesting that the real life multiverse theory by Stephen Hawking is so interesting, but like, can we give it a break? Like,
Yeah.
chill out just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, inherently, yeah, you're right. Like that is such an interesting idea, and also it kind of gives you this playground where you can bring back any kind of versions of all the characters we love from different eras and stuff. That is a fun idea. That is interesting, but I feel like the novelty sort of worn off. I feel like we could definitely get back to a place where maybe that's exciting again. But I feel like you have to really earn the audience's like trust
Yeah,
as far as like putting a really, I mean, it's gotta be such a cool spin on that. And I would just love to see Deadpool just be like to the
yeah.
multiverse.
I got that comic somewhere where it's Deadpool versus the Marvel Universe, and he just kills everybody.
Oh
And I
yeah.
would love to see some kind of rendition of that because that comic is so good. He kills the good guys, he kills the bad guys. He's like, look, I don't care, and then he kills the writers of his own comic. It's so good.
Yeah. I mean, I mean Deadpool is definitely one of the like one of the Marvel properties I'm really looking forward to. You know, again, I was looking forward to the like more Kang stuff, but we don't really know what's going on with that. So, um, yeah, gosh, I'm just like hoping the next, year or two we get some really good Marvel, DC, whatever. I mean, at this point, I can Sony even make a good comic book movie?
I don't know this Madam Web. I don't have super high hopes for it. I had low expectations for Morbius, and I didn't like Morbius like that. I like the Venom movies. Um, so I don't know. It's Sony needs to lose their formula that they use for these films and bring in some help. And it's okay if you guys need help. That's cool. Bring in somebody like a James Gunn or that someone that who's dedicated to giving fans this a comic book accurate story, and it doesn't have to be a plain run of the mill origin. And they'll start winning people over, and if you give them some people new and different outside of what the MCU's been giving, you start winning people over because people keeps talking about the MCU's dead. I had this conversation earlier today with someone on Facebook. The MCU's dead, and then I'm like, no, wait. And so the overall, you're outside of the critic world and the geek vibes world where we're kind of insulated in this and looking at it from inside out. A lot of the times that on the outside, people are like, no, it's a wrap, and so someone's got to do something different. I assume and expect James Gunn to shake things up because I know like Peacemaker was really good.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you go. You go the route where the characters who deserve to be rated R, you give them rated R. I'm excited to see where they're going to do Echo because I know it's supposed to be a little more TV mature. Because comic books are mature, so you got to get out of kind of the silly kid zone and kind of go, hey, look, this is for adults now. The adults are in the room. We can still have fun if you're over the age of 13, 14, 15. But for everything else, like you might need your parents because it's gonna get dark and
Yeah.
shake it up.
And I think that's a really good point. And I also think that like we live in this sort of like time when you can have stuff for kids, you can have stuff for, teenagers. But then yeah, like you said, there's definitely properties that like Blade should be R-rated,
Yeah.
somebody like Spawn should be R-rated, like
Yep.
hard R. Like
Yeah. 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 They got to get out of their own way and trying to make billions of dollars. And I feel like it didn't start off that way, but that became the goal. Was like, oh, it didn't make $1 billion. It's a fail, and it's like, no, you made more money than most of the movies made this year, but you set this almost unreachable benchmark, and because you earned those billions with Endgame and Infinity War. Barbie was a cultural phenomenon, earned the right to have that billion. Avatar was so new and fresh. Titanic is one of the best movies of all time. So these things were a cultural phenomenon, or they were earned in a certain way. You can't just expect to drop anything and like, oh man, it's
Yeah.
dead because it didn't earn a bill. And it's like, no, like it
Yeah.
just made what regular movies made. That's all.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, again, I know we talked a lot more about this in our comic book GVN talk, which I'll link in the description. You should check it out. That was a fun time. But yeah, my kind of thought on that is the absolute explosion of these comic book movies was, I don't think, a fluke, but I think that it was something so not expected
Yeah.
that, you see dollar signs, and then you kind of have this hubris where anything you put out there is going to be consumed. And like you said, you know, any like the again, the hubris to think everything you make is going to make billions, with a
Yep.
B, like multi-billion dollars. I mean, it's insane. Like, we stuff ebbs and flows. You have trends. Like, these are like, there's probably far more skilled people that kind of study these things. And I don't know. I mean, even like you and I can be like, this ain't it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. And listen, like, the fact that we're still excited for stuff from like comic book properties, that says it all, right? Like,
Yep.
it's just, I hope that studios take a beat, take a lesson. Um, I also want to correct myself. Sony did the Spider-Verse stuff, which is amazing. So
Yeah.
there's that big
Yeah, that's
asterisk.
true.
But yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I hope they learn the lessons from like Spider-Verse and properties like that are so beautifully made, and like the detail, like
Take
the
your time.
yeah, like,
Pay
just
your VFX artists and take your time. Don't rush them. Let them cultivate, and people are gonna pay the money to see artistry. And like you said, I think they do need to take a beat. I think after, and I get why they didn't, because you want to ride the wave, but I think after Endgame, they should have took like a 2-year break. You focus.
Mhm.
That's when you focus on your series. Let people watch the shows. Give them time to catch up on shows too, and then you start your new journey. And that way, you give your big stars a break. They can go do other stuff for a little while, and then the shows people can, they don't have to binge, like hurry up and binge so they can see another movie. They can take time to enjoy it, discuss it, and then after that 2-year window, you're like, okay, the movies are back, and then you don't do any shows while you're doing the movies. I think you have to have that balance, because that's the big thing. People go, I hate that I have to watch the shows and the movies, and it's because they're
Mhm.
happening at the same time. But if you take away one of them and give them one to focus on, they're gonna go, "Oh, I haven't watched this show yet, and the movies start again next year. Let me go ahead and watch them." So you give people time to like fall in love with the shows, like we did WandaVision, instead of you rushing like Falcon and Winter Soldier, where it felt like a disjointed, movie that they just pieced together in episodes. And then you'll have, I think, a lot more happy fans, and you still give them consistent content, but it's not all thrown at you at one time.
Yeah, and that's where I think, like, somebody like something like Deadpool as a property, like, people like, that's not a hard character to understand. You know, it's one of those things that the barrier for entry is a lot easier than some of these properties with, like you said, to really get the full effect, you have to watch the shows, you have to watch the movies, you have to like bridge everything together to sort of make everything like complete. Whereas Deadpool feels more like a standalone, and obviously there's references to the larger world, but it's largely self-contained, and that's why, I mean, that's not the only reason why I feel like those do really well, but I think it's a big reason why people like those. Like it
Yeah.
takes that pressure off. Like I don't have to watch a recap video for someone to explain the exact timeline of where this movie is. You know, like
Yep.
I can just like sit my ass down and watch Ryan Reynolds absolutely fucking kill it. But yeah, I'm optimistic. You know, I want to end on like a positive. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap?
I think if you have that, superhero fatigue, I think what you should do is go back and watch things like Infinity War, go watch Endgame, go watch, the first Avengers, go watch Blade and Blade, 2. Don't watch Blade Trinity. And I think, just remember what the greatness looked like, and then use social media, remind Marvel, Kevin Feige, Disney, remind them this is the things that we love and how you did them. Get back to this, and I think if there's enough noise, they're gonna listen because again, they want to make $1 billion, and
Yeah,
they haven't been lately.
yeah, and it feels so simple. I mean, my I guess I any final thoughts for me is like I I don't know. I think that it's going to be interesting seeing what they do with Kang, if they pause, if they recast. I mean, again, I think my the smart money is on just taking a beat and
Yep.
letting that cool a little bit, and then decide, you know, what you want to do with majors, if you want to recast, or, you know, again, I think I'm not I'm not saying like don't give him a second chance. I think, you know, hopefully, like you said, this will be a wake up call. But yeah, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, this it was so disheartening. Just and I mean, I'm not, and I'm trying to be so careful with this because, like, yes, it is awful for the victim, and like that's the tragedy. The tragedy isn't that I'm, you know, not getting a movie or a character that I really love. The main tragedy is the awful abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, and the byproduct of that is, you know, it's, you know, something hyped up and, you know, really excited for is not happening. So I just want to like let people know that's kind of where our you know, kind of like where our priorities are.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. We definitely are. Keep your hands to yourself, brigade. Um, because you don't, whether you're dating somebody, married somebody, you shouldn't be putting your hands on anybody.
yeah.
Because at least from where I'm from, you put your hands on somebody, people got family and friends,
Hmm.
and you will get handled accordingly, without the police.
Yeah.
um you probably wish that we called the police. But yeah, keep your hands to yourself. um and what he was found guilty of, because we don't know. That's the key thing. It's not that we um that no one feels bad for the victim of the situation, because everybody does, but we don't know exactly what happened in that car, because it
Hmm.
is a he say, she say, what the driver said, what witnesses saw, and it's all kind of, I don't know. It's all kind of confusing, but we do know that he did put his hands on her outside of the car to push her back in the car. So keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah.
You're taught that as a kid, and for some reason, when we're adults, we forget that.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so I know like next time we'll be talking about some more like totally fun things instead of talking about
Right.
like stuff like that. But I mean, it is newsworthy, and I felt like I wanted to like get this out, and yeah, this will probably be the last GVN talk for the year,
Oh
but
yeah,
I know I was hoping to do a Star Wars holiday special thing, but um the time has just kind of like steamrolled me. Um but you know, we can still do that in the new year. I mean, it's still you
for
still
sure.
kind of have that sort of Christmas hangover-ish sort of thing. So maybe we'll do that. Chime in the comments if you want to see that. And also weigh in the comments, like let us know what you think, what you maybe want to see Marvel do. What do you want them not to do? More importantly. So yeah. Well, it was awesome talking as always. And um I will link in the description our other GVN talks that we've done recently. They've been a lot of fun. um, it's been so fun talking with you, talking with Tia. We need to like start getting some more like people, GVN
Yeah.
people to do these. So yeah. And you know, to the obligatory, please like, comment, all that great stuff. I'll post our socials. Um, you need to be following Dom. He's awesome. Like just on social media, but like all your awesome reviews. I know I need to get caught up on some recent stuff, but
Yeah, everybody go see The Color Purple. My review
mm,
dropped. Comes out on Christmas. It's definitely worth a watch. If you want to cry and groove a little bit. It's one of the best of the year, and I don't say that lightly.
nice. All right, awesome. So I will link where you can check all that stuff out, and thank you for hanging out with us.
Peace.